Um, it's been a while, but October, I think it's quite a good time for us to talk about everything, because right now for general skill migration sector, all the states are open. So I thought it's never going to be a better time than this to talk about general skill migration, what are the states and everything like that. And today we're going to also talk about a little bit about GTI. We've been getting many approvals again, and we'll touch base with you about Dharma program, migration pathway for employee nominated sector, and Ashani is going to talk to you in detail about UK 403 category as well. And then we're going to look forward to talk to you and listen to you. If you have any questions, the whole point of this discussion is to answer any live questions to you. So if you have any questions, feel free to type your question down below, whether you're coming from Facebook or YouTube. So probably you'd know, my name's Isuru. I'm a registered migration agent, and I've got Ashani right next to me. She's a registered migration agent as well. So we can, wherever we can facilitate the answers to you, we'll give you migration answers directly to you right now, related to Australian migration pathways. And if there's something that we need to investigate further and give you an answer, we will endeavor to do that to you as well in person. So welcome to the session, and we're going to start talk about these topics right now. If there's anything, as I said, don't wait for the time, just start typing your questions, and as soon as we explain these topics, we will start answering your questions.
Yes, that's right. So, and our contact details are displayed in the screen. So the best way to contact us would be probably call us, just pick up the phone if you're in Australia, or you can email us, admin@sirus.com.au.
We got the WhatsApp number there as well. So wherever you're coming from in the world, you can join us through WhatsApp as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about first this all brand new UK-Australia Free Trade Agreement. So it works great for both countries, and it is said to be the most flexible arrangement that Australia has signed up with, other than the one that they already have with New Zealand. So they are really looking forward to strengthening relationships and giving opportunities to young Australians as well as young UK citizens to come and get an early start in their career. So there are few pathways available. I will go through and explain all of them to you. So if you are someone, or if you know someone who's a UK citizen or a national, which means a permanent resident in UK as well, you don't need to be a citizen. So this is available to UK citizens and also permanent residents. The visa is available through a subclass called 403. That is a global relationship between two countries. When Australia has an agreement with such an agreement with the country, then these visas are available through that agreement. But the subclass that we are talking about today is subclass 403. It goes through the ISEP application stream. There are two streams available for UK citizens and nationals. First stream is the early career stream. So that stream is available for anyone who's tertiary qualified, which means anyone who holds a bachelor's degree from the UK, or that bachelor's degree can be from another country. But if your qualification is from a different country, they said the immigration might come and question you a bit more about the qualification. And this is available to UK citizens aged 21 to 45. So anyone, this is especially good, I think, for people who are not eligible under the current existing subclass 417, the working holiday stream, because that cutoff is 35. But the earlier career stream cutoff goes until 45. So this is pretty much like a subclass 482 work visa, but that's a special criteria for UK citizens. And this subclass 403, you can apply if you have a job offer from Australia or a contract from Australia to take placement, a secondment, or intra-corporate transfer up to 1 year. So the early career stream is available up to 1 year. In the first year, they're going to give 1,000 places. to test this stream, how it goes, and then from the second year the places can be increased or decreased depending on the how much people use it. So one of the other good things with this stream, there are no labor market testing requirement or any other requirement from the offering company or from back home. As long as you have a tertiary qualification and 3 months work experience back home, you are eligible to apply to take any kind of job offer. It could be a skill level 1 to 3, so managerial levels or a diploma level positions, or a certificate 3 level, which is a trade positions. So if anyone from Australia can give a job offer to a UK citizen, they can apply under this subclass 403
So it's
early career stream.
It's a much simpler way to get into than going into 482 or 186 employee-nominated streams. As Ashani said, you don't have to go through the employee-nominated system, labor market testing, and the long process. You don't have to do that. I think it's an in-betweener from working holiday visa and the 482 temporary skill shortage visa.
And to add to that, they have another stream, again subclass 403, innovation stream. So this is for highly experienced and skilled UK citizens with a demonstrated contribution to innovation, can undertake employment opportunities up to 3 years in Australia. Then again, if you're looking for those highly skilled people to contribute to Australia's next 10 years plan for development and for innovation, this visa is for you. So they don't have to now wait for the long periods to bring people over, because the processing time for this visa is about 7 days, maximum 7 to 11 days. So they are the two streams. Again, the places available are 1,000, and they are right now monitoring to see how many applications get into the system to decide what the next year program is going to look like. So that's one stream for UK citizens, but there are other good news coming for UK citizens as well. So the subclass 417 working holiday, it used to be up to 31 years. Now it's extended for up to 35 years. And also they're talking about from next year January, if you're applying for the second working holiday, they're going to remove that 6 months of working in regional or the farming sector. So that requirement will be gone, and you can get your 3 working holiday visas for 3 years without that requirement. And what's best yet is they are also going to remove that working for one employer for 6 months requirement from next year as well. Again, much more flexibility as long as you're a UK citizen or a UK national. There is one other, last but not least, great requirement for great criteria removed for UK citizens, which is the labour market testing. So if you are applying for subclass 482, subclass 494, subclass 186, we don't really need to do labour market testing, but we always advise, if you're a UK citizen, doesn't matter which occupation you apply to, there is no labour market testing requirement. Employers now can go ahead and lodge the subclass 482, 494 or 186 visa without doing any labour market testing, as long as the employee is a UK employee, or the applicant is a UK citizen or a UK national. Yeah. So there you go for the
403 UK sector. UK I think citizens. Before we talk about general skill migration, we're going to talk about Dharma program first. And also, just before we go into Dharma, I would like to show you a little snapshot of how the employee-nominated scheme works. Because a lot of people get stressed out with the uncertainty, or people think if you don't get an invitation, their pathway is over and this is the only way. That is not correct. So if you talk about employee-nominated pathway, if you're qualified for an occupation, it's get driven by your occupation. All the employee-nominated visas are driven by your occupation, and occupation, depending on what your occupation is, there are different lists to contribute and protocol, what visas that you can go into and what you can and cannot do, sort of thing. So most of the occupations are broken into 3 different main lists: medium to long-term skill shortage list, short-term skill occupation list, and regional occupation list. And in between we have the Dharma list. So that Dharma is a different story. PMSOL, we've got it there still, but that's the COVID time. It's not very important anymore. So if you're right now, if your occupation is in medium to long-term list, you can apply for a 482 visa or a 186 visa. But if you're and then you have permanent residency pathway. But if your occupation is in short-term skill occupation list, right now there is no permanent resident pathway. But most of the short-term skill occupation listed occupations are also in ROL list. So if your occupation is in ROL list, then through 494 you can apply for permanent residency after 3 years of work experience with an employer. So after working for the employer for 3 years. So they're the different categories. To go into 407 is, I'll come to 407 in a minute. Since we talked about the Dharma list, I'll give you a little bit of information about what Dharma list is. Dharma list allow you to incentivize you with certain incentivifications like...
and Dharma goes by the state. So each state has a different Dharma list, isn't it?
Each region has it.
Yeah.
So for an example, Queensland has 2 major Dharma lists. One, Far North Queensland, which is above Cairns. The other one is Townsville and that rim there. So depending on the region and the skill shortage, they have Dharma lists. With the Dharma lists, normally if you're in a 482 temporary visa, for you to get a permanent residency, you can only do it until you become 45. So Dharma list, the main part is most of these Dharma lists allow you to go till 50, majority of them up to 55, you can become a permanent resident. So that's one pathway for matured skilled applicants. So that's something good about Dharma. Normally, for you to be eligible, and then certain occupations, if your English levels are a bit lower, they also incentivize for English levels. You can go with lower English level into those work visas and seek for permanent residency pathway. So that's another incentivification from the Dharma list.
And also you get exemptions for age, English, and sometimes work experience.
Work experience as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So normally for you to get into for work visa, you require a minimum of 2 years of work experience, depending on which visa category. Like for an example, TSS 482 visa, you're going to need at least 2 years work experience, but it can be after or during your qualification. So that's a good part. If you don't have that minimum requirement of work experience, but you have the qualification, and if you have ways to improve, 407 could be another good visa category. This is, people call it training visa as well. So you can come to Australia, work with an employer, or if you have completed your studies in Australia, you can you can go through 407 to get yourself qualified. This is also very good for people who already use 485 and get yourself qualified for a different stream, and now you don't have 485 option to get work experience. So you can, without leaving the country, you can come to a 407 with an employer's nomination, and then get yourself qualified for any other visa, skill visas, or because we're talking about work visa right here, maybe you can go into a 482 visa, or if the employer is in regional, maybe you can consider 494 through there. But if you have the qualification, and after qualification minimum of 3 years work experience, you may consider going through 186 direct entry category. That's permanent residency directly. What's good about this? You're still going to need a skills assessment, and you need to be under 45 years old, and you must have 3 years work experience in the occupation. But what's good about this is you don't have to keep waiting for an invitation to come through from a state or the federal government, and you can erase or get rid of that whole uncertainty out of the equation. So you come here as a permanent resident, or if you're already here, you can get into permanent residency through your employer. We've got some qualified applicants who are currently working under 482 or 485 visa, or just completed maybe student visa, and then they're looking for a permanent residency pathway. If you're a qualified person, this could be another opportunity as well. You need to have minimum of English 6 in each band, compete in English if it's IELTS, or PTE 15 each band. But if you have registration requirement, this could vary depending on, like, if you're going for health sector, you're going to need IELTS 7 in each band, etc. Or if you're an educator, like teachers, they're going to need IELTS 8877. So those requirements are still there. But what we're trying to show everyone and educate everyone is, for this one, your hard but or your main requirement, other than your age, work experience, and English, and the skills assessment, is you must have an employer who is going to nominate you. It has to be an established Australian entity. But there is a favorite category. I'm going to let Ashani talk about it because she's so excited about this category. We get people to we guide people to set up their businesses in Australia through 188 visa category. But there is another pathway. If you're an overseas business that you have not yet established, if you're looking to establish your business in Australia, you do not necessarily, and also if you're not willing to, one of the big thing about some of the businessmen or businesswomen, they're well established overseas, and they're too busy making a lot of money, and they're not keen to go into starting off the seed stages of the business. So they want to come in and out, go in and out of Australia, but they want one of their trusted managers or trusted employees to go out and start establishing their business overseas. So we can help if you're overseas employer, business person, and if you're expecting to establish your business in Australia, and if you want to send some of your employees to Australia to support that business, then we can guide you through. You do not necessarily have to go through the 188 visa category, and this is much more simpler. This has always been there for a very long time. It's not a very new one or anything like that, but people again get confused with the same thing that we talked about earlier with the GSM. So if your business is overseas, you can establish an overseas entity, and that overseas entity can sponsor. Ashani can probably.
Yeah. So that's again subclass 482. It's again like a normal subclass 482. The only thing is the sponsoring entity does not have to be a local business or a business that's registered in Australia. So as Isuru said, if you have a business overseas and if you want to open a branch of that business in Australia, what we can do is, you need someone to come and do the initial parts of it, or the setting up of the business. So what you can do is, we can apply for a sponsorship and a nomination under the overseas entity. Sorry. So you don't have to use there is no Australian entity yet. So you can't really do a nomination and a sponsorship from an Australian entity. So we do nomination and sponsorship from the overseas entity to bring in a business manager or a business development manager to come and start the process. So that is available for overseas businesses. It's been there, as Isuru said, for a very long time.
It's
So-
not a substitute for 188 visa, so don't get this mixed up. A lot of people interpret it differently. This is not and also this is not being encouraged through self-sponsorship categories either.
Yeah.
So if you truly, if you currently an established business overseas and you want to start a business in Australia, so this is what we are telling is a pathway for you to do that without the actual businessmen or the directors having to be here, or if you want to, you can do it that way too. So this is a startup initiating, so you can come and set up your business, so you don't have to go through a different entity who can sponsor you. You can come here through a temporary arrangement, come to Australia, set up your business with the newly established Australian corporation, and then through that corporation you sponsor the employees and then start your business journey that way.
Yeah, so if you're a business and looking into furthering your business or going to another country, get in touch with us. We can help you with that process. And I can see that a lot of people are asking questions. Thank you so much for your questions. Please hang in there.
We
won't
come
be
into
talking
GSM very
for
soon.
too long, and then we will come to your questions. So we've covered Dharma 494 and
Did
also
we cover Dharma
GTI.
fully?
Yeah, so I will talk a little bit about Dharma then. Dharma is a program, as we explained earlier as well. It is because certain parts of Australia has more demand for certain skilled workers. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the skill level 1, which is managers. It could be lower level occupations as well, like farmers
drivers,
and exactly
divers.
all these occupations. So, but this demand is not all throughout Australia. It's in regional parts of Australia. So to help employers with this demand or with this need for employees, government has come up with different agreements with those regions of Australia, which is called Dharma. It is short for Designated Area Regional Migration. So under that program, there are special benefits that employers can use to hire people. So as Isuru said, the cutoff age is normally 45, but with Dharma, there are special incentives to encourage people to go to these places and take up these opportunities. So if you're someone who's struggling with their English or the age or the qualifications, work experience, so Dharma could be a good program for you to get your permanent residency. But what I want you to understand is for this, you need to have an employer in a Dharma region who's willing to give you a job, who's willing to do the sponsorship and nomination for you. So if you're in a similar situation, or if you just want to know what it's about because you believe that you will fall under a Dharma category, again, get in touch with us. We are more than welcome to first look at your profile and see if we can match you into any of the Dharma so you can go and explore your options. And also, let's talk about skill migration.
No.
Skill
migration, we want to continue to your answers. So let's talk about global talent independent visa quickly, and then we will come into general skill migration, and then we'll start answering your questions. Global talent independent visa also is another highlight visa, very important visa. Very powerful visa as well. It's a permanent residency visa. It's called the visa category is 858. Again, an invitation-only visa. The good thing about this visa, there is no minimum English requirement, no minimum age or maximum age requirement, as long as you're a global star. So the department expects you to be in one of the 10 major disciplines, and if you're a star through that, there is no minimum academic requirement as well. A star, I'll give you the definition of star in a minute. So you got to have the global exposure, and you have to be a pioneer or a prominent person in this category. So the categories are resources. This could be a resource engineering, geology, energy saving technologies, extraction, processing, and then agri-food, agriculture, and energy, health industry, defense, space and advanced manufacturing, digitech, infrastructure and tourism, financial services and fintech. Very powerful area because this is this program designed after post-COVID economic recovery as well. I've seen many of my clients got rapid responses through fintech and digitech sectors and financial
also,
services.
Health services. I have
Correct.
many clients who's got invitations from health sector.
Yeah, so the other one is the education. So there are 10 different sectors, but depending on your background, so when you say energy sector, you don't have to be an electrician. You could be a energy project manager who's got international exposure and who's worked in major projects. And I've got a client, UK-based client, who's a specialist in tunneling. I can't remember. I don't think he's got major academic qualifications, but he's dug many many holes throughout UK and Australia. So we're sitting in Brisbane. Majority of these tunnels around here has been dug by him. I mean, he's been the head project manager. So so you need to have that global exposure and the prominency. There is no English requirement, as I said. One of the measures how they do it, if you have a PhD, it's one of the things. If you have written journals or published publications, that's another qualification. One of the major things also, your current pay grade or your expected pay grade in Australia. So pay grade, the benchmark is the Australian higher education, what is it called? Fair Work Higher Income Threshold. I think it's about 167,500. I'm thinking always in my head I go as 170,000 as minimum.
Yeah.
So if you have that sort of background, then you have very good chances for you and your whole family to come to Australia as a permanent resident and establish yourself here. You don't have any commitment as such, like working for certain employer for a certain time or live in a certain state for a certain time. You come as an Australian permanent resident, and your job is to come and create jobs here and start working and do what you did overseas here to make it better for Australians.
Yeah.
So
it's such a good visa. I also like to encourage people to apply through GTI wherever possible. It's, as Isuru said, it's a permanent residency. You get a 5-year visa. You don't need to urgently move to Australia. With when you're an Australian permanent resident, you have 5 years. Even if you move to Australia, your family can move and you don't have to move. Or you can move, your family can stay away, because a lot of my GTI clients, they get the visa but they're not in a stage to straight away move to Australia, as you
they're
know.
Prominent characters.
Exactly.
I mean,
so you don't have to. You can come in 4 years and you can start living in Australia, or you can come as soon as your visa is granted. So when it's a permanent residency, the restrictions or the condition, there are no conditions. So it's a very free visa to do whatever you like to do. So
not really within the legal protocols,
well,
obviously.
Nothing illegal.
So yeah, we have a lot of experience throughout this visa category.
Yes.
This visa came out to public in 2019 November, and ever since then we have had many success stories.
Yes.
And we are privileged to be working with a lot of prominent people, heads of banks, global sector, anti-money laundering directors, health sector people, some of the big IT companies.
Yeah, they're great minds. It's a privilege to talk to them as well. It's a whole different.
I had a very quick turnaround from one of my clients from Sweden yesterday. He was a data miner, and it didn't take so long. So the invitation period can take a bit of time. It used to be very quick. Now, due to the
year and a half.
And they prioritize as well. The global talent team, they prioritize depending on people's background,
Yeah.
their skills. They prioritize which ones to get quicker responses, kind of thing. My latest one, I think it didn't take more than a couple of months. And then the visa process also is a very quick one. So global talent independent, if you're a prominent person who's got international exposure throughout your career, and if your career fits in one of those 10 sectors, let us know. And if you're going close by, let us know. We'll see. We're happy to offer you a free initial consultation on the global talent independent initial discussion, and then we'll guide you through.
Okay, let's answer some of the questions, because most of the questions are related to skill migration, and then whatever the leftover, we will talk about skill migration after answering the questions.
You want to talk about what general skill migration is first? I know a lot of people know, but general skill migration, there are 3 major visas, 189, 190 and 491. One of the main things, you need to be less than 45 years of age, and you need to have minimum of competent English. So if you're a person coming from an English-speaking country, you don't have to do this. You considered to have competent English if you're coming from UK, USA, Canada, etc., etc. But if you need to score points, then you need to get go sit for an IELTS or PTE, one of those exams, and you need to have a skill assessment to your job category. So that's simply the requirement to get into this. This is an invitation only visa again. You can get the invitation through the federal government or the state government. So a lot of our experts already know what they're doing, but I just wanted to give an overview of what you expected to do, and depending on your occupation, or there are occupation highly demand in the migration sector, maybe so the occupation get determined by your duties, not your job title. So let's go through how we go. This is one of the best years for migration intake through general skill migration. A lot of people interpret it differently.
So I've got Patrick asking, living and working in outer regional South Australia since February, hoping to get invitation through the outer regional stream, but with the new criteria, I don't know what to do again. Occupation is electrical engineer, not working on my occupation. Should I remain here and hope for any changes or not? Since the Australian government initial quota is 30k and they only allow 12k. So
did
Patrick,
you finish the first one first?
Sorry?
There's another question.
Yes,
before.
from the same person.
Okay.
Yes, so Patrick, yes, I understand your frustration. A lot of people are frustrated because Australian outer regional requirement to be not working in your nominated occupation is gone. When they opened their skill migration program very recently, they confirmed that if you're working in outer regional, again, you have to be working for 12 months, as well as you have to be working in your nominated occupation to get an invitation. So yes, maybe you should look into other, if I want to know how long you worked in outer regional and what is your occupation. Maybe there are other options that we can look at to see if you already have an employer, to see if you can go through that employer and apply for some other visa, because we talked about Dharma. Whole of South Australia is covered by Dharma. So maybe that is something that we can look at, or we can look at training visa. But if you're not working as an electrical engineer, moving to a different state, I don't think will really assist you, because other states also do not have that requirement to be working in your nominated occupation, but it does have in Tasmania. But the Tasmanian requirements say you have to be a long-term resident of Tasmania. So 50% of, at least more than 50% of your total time you spent in Australia has to be in Tasmania to be eligible under this stream. That's very tricky, because a lot of people move to Tasmania after living in Australia for 5-6 years. So for them to be eligible for Tasmania,
it's a tough one.
That stream, you have to be living in Tasmania for 5-6 years. So not easy, Patrick. I know the situation you're in. I know it can be frustrating.
But I think, Patrick,
get in touch. Let's see if there are other
Yeah.
options other than the state nominated option.
Maybe, Patrick, if you like to have a one-on-one discussion, we would like to offer you a free consultation with me or Ashani contact one of our officers through any of these contact details and ask for an invitation. We will waive the initial consultation fee for you.
Yeah, I've got Mudit asking, my brother-in-law, he's a cabin crew and have 9+ years experience, 29 years old. He wants to do chef cookery degree, which can get PR pathway. Can he apply for student visa? You would be the perfect person to answer this.
Look, Mudit, that's a good question. 29 years of age, but he's been in the hospitality sector. There might be contributory relevances in there. So it's a good pathway. It's more than PR if they want. If he's looking for genuinely enhance his education as well as the vocational qualifications and the experience, then there might be pathways, but you have to fulfill a few other requirements in coming into a student visa. You need to show that you're a genuinely temporary entrant, and also you need to have the English and the financial requirement required for it too. So normally, if you go to TAFE college, the requirement for cert for kitchen operations and diploma in hospitality is English IELTS 5.5, and it's a 4-semester course, and they have post-study work visa, the graduate visa option as well. So yeah, of course, if you'd like to get in touch, we can discuss further and learn more about your brother-in-law and see if we can help you. Look forward to talk to you soon, Madita.
Lakpriya is saying hello, hope you're doing well, and he's also saying, could you please kindly provide information on how such applicant can justify the gap in their education? For example, an applicant who is currently 29 years old and has been working as a co-owner operator of his or her small-scale own business, and now the individual plans to first obtain recognized marketing management qualifications such as CIMA UK, Masters from Sri Lanka, and plan to apply for MBA in Australia. So they're asking, how do they justify the gap in their education, because they've been running a business, now returning to study.
There's a lot of people get this very complicated. What I suggest to my clients, or what I always tell to my clients, is what do you really want to study, and what do you see as in 2-3 years? You're investing a lot of money, you come in to study some stream, and what have you been doing? What's the relevance of your study pathway? GT has been introduced for a reason, but it's not to tell you what to do next. So what I'm telling is, if they have a hospitality background and then expecting to go a next step further into, you woke up next day and thought about coming to engineering, that's going to be a different pathway. But if you did a lot of research and if you can justify yourself, you want to do this for this reason, I think Australians always have a good pathway for it.
Yeah, but you just need to show, like, what it's going to add to your CV. How are you going to justify spending that money? How are you going to earn it back? And always, what are your plans back home or in a third country? Because they don't want international students to see Australia as their final destination. They want them to have an open mind to go back home and explore other options, not just come to Australia for the sake of permanent residency at that point in time.
So, long discussion short, I think let's have a chat and understand not everyone can come to Australia to study either. If they just want to have education as a pathway to get into permanent residency in a quicker way. Australia's got a different skill migration system, different employee nominated system, but if you want to study, if you have a genuine requirement, then you can pursue that pathway through the right pathway. There are a lot of people take a punt on your background, so it's the only person gonna get hit is yourself. So you need to design your pathway properly. So if you like to get more information,
yes,
I think
please
you
get in
should
touch
talk
with
to
us
us.
because looks like you're interested in coming to Australia on a student visa. We have offices in Sri Lanka as well, few of them. If you're living close to one of them, you can do that, or you can get one of our staff from onshore to handle your case.
We can talk to you directly. But yeah, so please, long story short, if you want to come and study in Australia, come and study. We can show you genuine pathways, but please don't consider education as a shortcut. But there is so many, you can pave your path in a proper way in migration as well, if you plan it properly, not a shortcut through I shouldn't say dodgy or shonky, but that sort of approach.
Yeah, I've got Vinay now asking, there has been a substantial decrease in the number of visa allotment each state has. Is that the final count? Are there any chance of having them increase going forward in the upcoming months? And he's also asking, what is the minimum point for the developer program or software engineer code who has received invite in this financial year, which you have seen or heard? Thanks in advance. So yeah, I know the numbers are quite
they used to call it the interim allocations. So once the federal, there are a lot of documentation and allocations. Once the parliament tells you this much, and then the actual, to my understanding, the actual department has to decide where it goes to what, and in between there's so many documentation and discussion. So however, the initial set of invitation, they have only allocated certain numbers and they have gone through, but I don't think that's something you have to worry too much about it. A lot of people give you the numbers and make you scared, but if you think you have completed points, then I think you should put an expression of interest and see.
And also
normally,
I think it's closer to the end of the year, they will revamp this whole program and they may come up with a new skilled migration program, and they're probably keeping the rest of the allocations to use in that new skilled migration program. That's probably one of the.
There are 2,000 business visa allocations as well. I mean 1,500 business visa allocations, but they have not given any.
No.
But not that they want to waste up that 1,500. I'm pretty sure they will be coming up with the business visa
new
program coming months.
Yeah, so that's what we are hoping. But if you have enough points, definitely lodge it. That's such a good occupation. So 75 to 80 points is what I would say. It's a good point.
But even if you have 65, I would say do it.
Yeah, have an EOI in the system. I'm pretty sure you already do.
189, you might even be 65 might be another hit as well. Yeah. So I don't waste your opportunity.
Rion asking, hey, I have a BA in social science, master's in development studies and postgraduate in education. Now working in a state university as a visiting lecturer. How can I apply to Australia? You can apply for skilled migration. I believe you can also apply for PhD or masters by research. There are few options I can think of. Depends on how many years work experience you have as a lecturer, because we need some years of work experience before we get a skills assessment and apply for skilled migration. Depends on how old you are for student visas, but PhD doesn't really matter. So again, get in touch with us. I can see a lot of options, but we can advise you personally once we know more about your situation. Patrick saying thank you.
You're welcome.
Vinay saying developer program or software engineer in New South Wales. Yeah.
There are a lot of New South Wales based clients who look for developer programs as well. So keep 482 and 186
exactly, and 407 the training visa, TSS or 186 could be one of your options. So talk to your employer. So put an EOI
through and then don't just wait till the sun rises. Go and apply for another. Continue to work in the industry that will enhance your opportunities. And if they're not willing to, if one person's not willing to sponsor you, keep looking for other options as well. Yeah. So there are many opportunities out there at the moment.
Okay, so last part of our presentation today, the skilled migration. Most of the states and territories are open for skilled migration. So we are based in Queensland, so I'll go through a bit of the Queensland requirement. What has really changed from last year? Obviously, there are less number of places. but the requirements is less strict as well. So they used to say you need to have at least 80 points as a cutoff. Now they're saying you need to have 75 points for subclass 190. That's including 5 points from the state. And you only need to be working for 3 months in the Queensland state to be allocated, whereas last year they said you need to be working for 6 months.
For 190 and 3 months for 491.
But right now for 491 there is no minimum work duration requirement, so you can be working just 2 days and you'll be eligible to apply for subclass 491 with just 65 points, which means you only need 50 of your own points. If you're under 33 and over 25, you're already getting 30 points there. So it's not that it's difficult to be eligible for subclass 491 in Queensland, and also subclass 190. So if you're here and working, it is time to get your EOI into the system. They haven't really given any invitations yet, but we are hoping that a lot of people who applied will be getting invitations very soon. The other state that I want to talk about a little bit is Western Australia. In Western Australia, if you're thinking of building construction, there are so many benefits and so many incentives for employers and also employees for Western Australia. There is up to $10,000 grant for employers in Western Australia if they are going to hire overseas people. So we talked about subclass 482, 494, 186. So if there is an employer who's working in building and construction in Western Australia, going to employ someone, they probably don't know that they can now register for this program where they can get up to $10,000 to cover their costs of hiring overseas people in Western Australia. So building and construction, if you're thinking, if you're working, if you're studying, I think Western Australia would be a really good state for you to be. That's it from us. We talked about skill migration, GTI, Dharma program, which is again designated area migration, and we talked about visa options for UK citizens and nationals. That's
employee-nominated visas.
Yes, and we talked about employee-nominated visas, training visas, how you can be eligible through an employer without waiting for the state, because a lot of people are worried about less numbers given from the state. So look for other options. And also, I hope you know that 485 extensions are available to certain graduates. So go and find out if your qualification is one of the select degrees. If so, you will most likely get 2 extra years of 485. So look into that and get that opportunity and get that extra 2 years, which can really help you with your skilled migration.
Should we end it? I really want to talk about one thing quickly about 408, the COVID visa. A lot of inquiries comes through. Is it over? Look, the stream's over for all clients. So for new clients. So if you are not holding a 408, there is no 408 COVID stream for you available anymore. Mm-hmm. But if you are currently in 408, and if you want to have your family join you or extend your 408 for another 6 months, it is available until February 2024. So
everybody on 408 should apply for another 408. At least you get extra 6 months, and then to look for other options. If you don't have,
it depends. It's everyone's personal circumstances can vary. So before you do it, get some proper migration advice. And so 408 is only that COVID visa is only over for COVID stream. The normal 408 visa is still available for everyone, the new applicants as well. So 408 entertainment, 408 religious workers. So that's still available. A lot of people get confused about it, and we get many calls about it. So 408 visa is still available, and it depends on which category and how you do it. So if you are expecting to apply for a 408 COVID visa as a brand new applicant, your chances are over now. But if you're currently in a 408, you can hit another 6 months, or you can get your family into the 408 category, and for another 6 months, that gives you enough time to work out what's your next move. And I think that's plenty of information. hope this information was valuable for you, and we expecting to. Well, we want to come and meet you every Thursday, but times are limited for us, and we're very busy. But we look forward to talk to you soon, Mario, when we're doing it again.
Next month, yes. So
Next month.
First week of next month, first
Thursday.
we will see you. And before we go, I just want to wish Isuru a very, very happy birthday.
Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe to us through YouTube, or if you're coming through Facebook, hit that like button, because there'll be many videos coming up very soon. So there are new changes coming up. It's that time of the year again, which we get introduced to new information, and we are expecting a big new change to employee-nominated sector as well, where they're going to make give opportunities for it to short-term visa
and also
categories.
we are waiting on the latest Australia-India free trade agreement visa outcome, which is happening. So there's going to be a similar visa to UK people, for Indian people, similar kind of a working holiday. We don't know the age or the other criterions of it. We are waiting, so hopefully we get to see that soon, and we will definitely do a video on that and publish it to you as soon as it's here.
So last part of my explanation was, if you are in a short-term skill occupation list occupation, you will get opportunities to go into permanent residency, as they explained, but that system has not yet been not been introduced yet. So keep an eye out for it. So it will be coming out soon. Rayon's family, thank you very much.
All right,
These guys made a big deal out of this birthday.
Stay safe, and we will see you next month.